Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Hannah and on this channel I post a lot of anti-MLM commentary content. I'll link a playlist here and down below. This is my big anti-MLM playlist, over 80 videos on it at this point, and I add more every single week. If any of that kind of content does sound interesting to you, I would love it if you consider subscribing, consider liking this video. All of those things really help to support my channel and I appreciate you so much for doing that. For today's video, I'm bringing you another MONAT Zoom call. I seem to kind of have this unintentional trend going on right now where I'm having like Monday MONAT Zoom call videos. The timing has just been kind of funny. Like they always end up being on Mondays. We can make Monday MONAT Zoom calls a thing if we want. The reason that I focus so heavily on MONAT is because that's what gets sent to me the most. I am more than happy to cover other Zoom calls if anybody has any from other companies. But what I'm finding is that people send me MONAT calls the most, and they also happen to be the most egregious. So I'm rolling with it. And this Zoom call is no different. This particular training call is called Leaving Your Legacy. And it has a lot to do with addressing the potential burnout and the potential kind of disintegration of this one team. It's basically 30 straight minutes of a top earner in this company getting on a call and trying to like whip people into shape. Like she senses that people are slipping, people are quitting, people aren't being motivated, people have excuses, and she's trying to like address that and motivate them and like light a fire underneath them kind of thing. And by way of doing that, she's displaying a lot of problematic and not very effective leadership advice. So that's what we're dealing with today. This is a shorter call. It's only about 30 minutes, but it is jam-packed with tons of things we need to talk about.
Hello, everyone. I am super excited for this call. We have a mix of teams. We have all come together to hear from one great leader to all of us, someone that a lot of us look up to. And when we asked her to get on this call, I feel like something we want to focus on. And I'm going to share briefly a little personal story of mine because I feel like a lot of you can relate. Maybe some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Joe. I'm an SED, MDC with MONAT. I'm coming up on my 4 years.
She just introduced herself. I am an SED, MDC, and if you're not familiar with those acronyms, SED stands for Senior Executive Director. That is the top rank of MONAT. Only 0.01% of people in the company get there. For all intents and purposes, it's the tippy top of the pyramid, a very exclusive group of people. MDC stands for $1 Million Club. If you are inducted into the MDC, that means that you have been paid out over $1 million in commissions over the lifetime of your business. So that does not mean that these people are making $1 million a year, although some of them do. It's simply just like a recognition club. Like, look at these great people who have sold so much product that they have accumulated over $1 million in commission over however many years. She just said that she's coming up on her 4-year anniversary, so that means that she has made $1 million in commissions over the past 4 years. So those acronyms basically mean she's in the top rank of the company and she's sold a lot of product. In other words, she is at the tippy top of the pyramid.
And a couple of months ago, I was kind of feeling really out of it. Like I was unmotivated. I was burnt out. And I spoke to Brittany and I was like, Brittany, I'm so out of it. And I had spoken to so many people about this and no one kind of woke me up the way she did. And being in business for almost 4 years, I see so many people feel this way, whether you're 4 or 5 years in, or you're just starting and you're not getting results. Maybe we're looking for that instant gratification. Maybe we don't have the support we need. Maybe things don't go as planned. Our team falls, whatever the case may be. It's so easy to fall into that negative mentality, to get distracted, to give excuses, to focus on a million other things. And, you know, we're having such a great month so far. And we decided who else better than Brittany to come here and kind of whip us all into shape. She does it so gracefully, but gets the point across.
She brought up the fact that recently she's been feeling burned out, so let's talk about that. I'm actually very caught off guard by the fact that she's admitting burnout. Let's be real, this is something that tons of people experience in a ton of different career fields or jobs at some point in their lives. But in an industry like multi-level marketing, where you're, for lack of a better term, encouraged to work yourself into the ground, and where you're taught that there is no such thing as a good excuse, I'm actually pretty surprised to hear her admit admitting that she's feeling a little burned out. This particular person has been a speaker on a lot of the MONAT Zoom calls that I show on my channel, and her messaging has always been, your failures are your fault. If this business isn't working out for you, you must be doing something wrong. So for her to admit that she's feeling a little burned out is really shocking to me, but I do want to shed light on the fact that if you are in an MLM, burnout is somewhat inevitable. It's only a matter of time. This type of business model is an uphill climb, and very few people see the results or the success or the wealth that they're expecting out of it. And rather than acknowledging a fault of the business structure, people are taught to place the blame on themselves. So in a sense, you are never done working. You are never working hard enough. You are never making enough sacrifices in the eyes of your upline. You can always be doing more. You are never enough. When you watch training calls like this from the top earners in the company, the narrative will always be, I am at the top because I worked harder than you, and if you are struggling to make it to the top, that's a personal problem. People at the top ranks of these companies will never credit their timing of when they got in or the size of their teams, which coincidentally happen to be the two exact things that directly correlate to somebody's success in this kind of model. And the person who's being introduced, the person who's going to speak next for the majority of the call, I have shown her in another MONAT Zoom call on my channel before, where she quite literally advised that people should not go out on the weekends, they should not go see their friends, they should not exercise, they should not watch TV if they are going to have a shot at making it to the top of this company. Those were the keys to success that she was offering to her downline. I made the point then, and I will make it again now. That is terrible life advice. Do not take that advice. I am begging you. If a business opportunity requires you to completely throw your work-life balance out the window and focus 100% of your time and energy on the MLM, run. Click off the training call and go close your account. I'm not kidding. Because cutting out everything in your life that brings you relaxation or joy or balance is a perfect recipe for burnout. I am totally an advocate for slow and steady wins the race. And if you are starting to feel burned out, that's a great indication that you should take a step back, you should rest. But that's kind of the issue in these MLM companies, is that you're constantly in this pressure cooker. There is no time for rest. That's not an option for you. Your goals are never achieved because they reset every single month. Your team is never fully established because people are constantly quitting and you have to scramble to replenish them. And you have your upline continuously berating you for not doing enough. When that is the type of environment that you are working in, it's no wonder that people are burning out. And their way of trying to combat that burnout is not to encourage them to take a step back and rest, because that's not an option, like I said. Instead, it's to kind of do the exact opposite and to push even harder and to host these weekly trainings and Zoom calls where everyone gets together and they try and boost morale, and they spew all these self-help platitudes that are intended to motivate or encourage people at least long enough to hold them over until the next training call where they get on and do the exact same thing all over again. All of that to say, I'm like Little Miss Blabbermouth over here. Multi-level marketing companies, perfect recipe for burnout. It's inevitable. And you are hearing somebody in the top rank of this company admitting that they are burned out too. It's not really surprising to me that she's feeling burned out. It is surprising to me that she's admitting it. And it's also surprising to me how they are about to suggest that their teammates overcome burnout, because in my opinion, they're going about it the completely wrong way.
So I think everyone here knows her, but just in case, she is SED. She is 5 MDC. I believe she is everyone's upline on this call. She is amazing, someone that you want to get to know. And Britt, we are so grateful and so thankful that you're doing this call for us, especially today out of all days. So let me find you so I can unmute you. And girls, guys, take notes, pay attention. This is not a call you want to be driving on. I'm in a basement, but I have my phone here to take notes. Okay.
I'm here, Joe. We love New York Joe, guys. She's in the Cobrick basement. She's got a New York baseball hat on. We are here for this vibe.
Yes.
I am so excited to be on this call with you guys tonight. It's crazy. Earlier today, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make the call, and I have a special angel number. It's 3 very, very random numbers. And I was just putting in the Zoom number for this call, and the 617 was in that number for this call. And I'm like, oh my God, that means I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be tonight. So I'm so glad I didn't cancel this call. And I feel like it's all of the best juju for all of us on here.
I want to talk about her point about like her angel numbers confirming that she's supposed to be on this call. This type of language is very, very common throughout MLM companies. On team calls, in group chats, in Instagram posts, at their conferences. This language surrounding some kind of higher power or higher purpose, whether that's religion, whether that's astrology, whether that's angel numbers, whatever. There's always a ton of rhetoric surrounding like, this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to be doing. This is my purpose, and some higher power put me on this path. And if you are religious or you do believe in angel numbers, that is wonderful. I have zero issue with that. But I do have an issue with how prevalent those things are in MLMs. This is such a minor and seemingly insignificant moment on this call, but it sends the subliminal message like you were meant to be here, which can intentionally or unintentionally manipulate people into believing like there is some higher power in control of my success within this multi-level marketing company. The business opportunity mathematically cannot benefit most people who get involved with it. And a lot of people will become discouraged or disillusioned very quickly, which is why things like religion or angel numbers are kind of like woven into the conversation here and there. Because if you take the business opportunity and you connect it to a person's already existing belief system that brings them a lot of peace and comfort, then you increase the likelihood that that person will stay in the business opportunity for longer than they probably would have otherwise. If you tell people just trust the process or just believe that you're where you're meant to be, then it's far more likely for that person to stick it out for a little bit longer just to see if it really does pan out for them, which in most cases it usually doesn't.
But guys, I want to speak with you about being in this for the long term, for the legacy, right? We just got off of our director summit last week, and they put up an amazing visual for us there that was our growth as a company over the last 7 years, okay? So it started here, and we went up, and then we went here, and we went up, and we went down, and we went up. And it's funny because they always talk about 2018 at like the company as a whole. And they always say 2018 was the worst year the company ever had. And you see it on the chart, like 2018 is trending downwards. The crazy thing is that 2018 was the best year I ever had. And so many of my leaders on this call will tell you the same thing. It's the year I went SED. It's the year that I quit my job. It's the year that I got my car, right?
The graph that she's talking about right here might be my favorite visual of all time from any of my videos ever. I covered it in depth in MLM Top Fails 43 because most of that video was dedicated to talking about and breaking down all the problematic things that happened at the MONAT Directors Summit. But here's a quick rundown. Here's my brief interpretation of this graph. This was like a PowerPoint slide that was shown at the MONAT Directors Summit, and it says MONAT 8-year trajectory. It goes back to 2014 because that's when the company was founded. And this is a graph of their revenue year after year. So what it's showing is there's an increase in the revenue. It's showing growth from 2014 to 2018. And then in 2019, there's a little downtick. 2019 was a worse year than 2018. And then you see this really, really big spike in 2020, which in my opinion appears to be a direct result of a global pandemic. This is a time of a lot of fear for a lot of people, whether that's financial or health-wise. People are looking for an additional stream of income. People are looking for something that they can do from home. This also happens to be right around the time that MONAT is launching their health and wellness supplements. And in my personal opinion, it appears to be this perfect storm for all MLMs in general, but we can really see it here for MONAT, that the climate we are in as a country as a result of this pandemic is the perfect breeding ground for MLM business opportunities. So the way it looks to me is slow and steady incline until 2018. Oops, we're kind of getting saturated. Takes a dip in 2019. And then in 2020, it's like, oh, lucky for us, people are freaking out about their finances and their health. And we were really able to capitalize on that. And we got a lot of people in our company, tons of people signing up, tons of people buying starter kits. So our annual revenue spikes in 2020. And then my favorite part of the whole graph is in 2021, there's that little downtick again. Because what happened is a ton of people joined in 2020. The people that were already in the company took that opportunity to build up their downlines to boost themselves in the pyramid. pyramid. In other words, the people at the top were able to benefit the most from this, while tens of thousands of people were joining their downlines. And at this point, the people who made up the bottom of the pyramid are kind of like, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was. And we are seeing a lot of people leaving the business opportunity. I would not be surprised if we just saw this graph downtick, downtick, downtick for the foreseeable future. But as the graph relates to the point she's trying to make, she said that the graph shows how terrible 2018 was, but that's not true at all. If we're looking at this graph, 2018 was actually the best year on record for the company, and it wasn't until 2019 that you saw the downtick. Only one person at the Director Summit saw this graph and thought it was a good idea to snap a photo of it and post it. And she took it down pretty quickly once people caught on to the fact that we did see that downtick in 2021. So the point being that I feel like there's two main groups of people that have seen this graph. The first group being the people that were in attendance and saw it at the Director Summit, and the other group of people being those that consume a lot of anti-MLM content. I would bet that most people in the company have not seen this graph. So I'm not sure if she's just genuinely mistaken that it was actually 2019 that was the bad year and not 2018, or if she's just lying and saying that it was 2018 was the bad year because that's what fits her narrative and fits her story and fits the point she's trying to make, and she doesn't think that people will know the difference because they weren't at the event and they didn't see the graph. I don't know, who's to say? Zeke just laid down in my arms and I'm so happy. Can you see his little ears? I have to press play on this Zoom call, but I can't because both of my hands are under his body. I'm gonna try and like sneak an arm out. Okay, I did it. Let's continue.
So the point that I'm trying to make to you guys is that there's always going to be groups of people that are winning, always, okay? And I want to sit with the winners every single time. We determine if we are the winners every single year. Senator Louise talked with us, guys, about, how, especially in 2020, for the girls that were here in 2020, the fish were literally jumping into our boat. We were sitting in the boat and the fish were jumping into the boat and we were sitting back and we were like, this is amazing. I'll take this for the rest of my life, okay? Fish jumping into a boat? Like, did I zone out for a second? Where did that come from? I don't know if that's like some kind of reference to something that I'm not aware of. My best guess is that she's trying to make some kind of analogy to like how fish jumping into a fisherman's boat makes their job so much easier, in the same way that people were flocking to the MONAT business opportunity in 2020 as a result of a financial panic, and they like didn't really have to do much to build huge teams. I'm confused about the fish anecdote. I don't know where that came from, but if she's using it as an analogy, then that would explain why we see that spike on the graph in 2020. Anybody that's been with me on this call the last 4 or 5 years, we went up every single year, guys, exponentially. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, every single year was up, up, up. And I'm here to tell you guys tonight, that's not a real life business. We were lucky and we were fortunate, but that's not going to be business every single year. I love that quote that's like, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face, because that's just the honest to God truth. We got a reality check in the last year, and it was a small reality check, you guys, a very, very small one. And we had a bad fucking attitude, to be completely honest with you. Business got a little tough and everyone's mindsets went straight out the window. It's easy for everyone to sit around and say, oh my God, I have the best mindset on fleek, queen vibes, this, that, and the other thing, manifestation when business is good. Everybody has a great mindset when business is good. I'm going to move my microphone closer. I feel like I'm sitting in a very awkward position because I have Zeke on my lap. Why does mindset and manifestation have to be a part of it though? And why does your mindset always have to be positive? I also need to move this plant. I keep like knocking into it. It's unreasonable to expect that every teammate is positive, happy, upbeat 100% of the time in any workplace ever. That's just an unrealistic expectation to be putting on people. Humans are not designed to be perfect all of the time. If we were, we would be robots. But she's kind of almost scolding her team for like having rough patches or having bad attitudes sometimes, and they're just not as positive as she would like for them to be. And that's a red flag to me, because she's kind of insinuating that if you take your foot off the gas for even a moment, that's going to hurt you. This tells me that you are expected to be constantly working, constantly pushing forward, constantly driving yourself into the ground, and you better have a smile on your face while you're doing it.
And that doesn't sound like even a remotely enjoyable or sustainable business opportunity to be getting involved with. I'm gonna take a picture of this cat and insert it into the video so you can see what I'm seeing. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Let me get a picture of his face. Stop it right now. He's so cute. I'm gonna put these pictures on the screen. Usually in my videos, I like to be centered in the frame and then I like to have the microphone out of the frame. But these are the sacrifices we make for love.
You're going to find out who the real leaders are and who the real badasses are when business is tough. You're going to see the work that you have or you have not been putting in on your mindset for the last 4 to 5 years. You're going to see it. Success is a mindset, you guys. It's a mindset. That's all that it is.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I don't think that you can be successful in something if you just have the right mindset. There are so many other factors that go into being successful at something, more so than just your attitude or your mindset towards it. It sounds like what she's insinuating is that if you just do enough personal development, or if you just brainwash yourself enough to thinking only positive thoughts, then you will be able to be successful in MONAT. But I'm here to tell you that you can be the most brainwashed person on the planet and you can still be failing in this business. Through no fault of your own either. It's very simple. You make money in MONAT by selling a product and recruiting people. And if you can't find people to buy or join, you cannot rise in the ranks, you cannot make good money, you cannot be successful. That has nothing to do with your mindset or your level of positivity or how much personal development you've done.
And I'm here tonight to tell you guys that it starts with you and nobody else. And I've had to remind myself that many times in this business. This business has humbled me time and time and time again. And that's what I was trying to tell Joe in my living room that night. You know, I've rode a lot of highs in this business and I've had a lot of lows, okay? And every single time I come back stronger because I learned something. I love our business because I tell people that you're going to become somebody that nobody can take away from you. You're going to develop a skill set that nobody will ever be able to take away from you. Nobody will ever be able to take my mindset from me. It doesn't matter if MONAT were to be gone tomorrow. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be a leader. I'm not going to act off of my emotions. I'm still going to have great relationships with people that mean a lot to me. Guys, these are the things that are really, really important, okay? Our egos are what get us tricked up. And I want you to think about that. We talk a lot in our company about recognition, and recognition is important. And I think the company puts it so much in the forefront that we crave it so much, okay? I am not a recognition person because I'm not here, guys, because I need to be on a stage. I don't need people to praise me or tell me how great I am or to get an award or for people to clap for me. It's not what fills my cup up at the end of the day, okay? And I want you guys to think about that tonight. It's just an adrenaline rush, okay? That's all it really is. It's not going to give you true happiness. It's not going to give you true purpose. You're not going to wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I am so happy that I got that award. It's not going to get you out of bed. So you have to come back to what's really important to you. You know, what's really important to me is providing a life for my family, being able to do things for my parents, starting a nonprofit organization, being able to travel when I want to, not having to worry about bills. Like those are the things that are important to me over getting on a stage, being clapped for, people saying I'm great. Like if you don't think you're great, who cares if anyone else thinks that you're great?
Zeke left me. Back to our normal setup. I honestly do agree with her that praise, recognition, awards, those should not be your primary motivations for doing something. In MONAT, some of the ways that people are recognized is they are invited on stage at events, they get physical awards, they're inducted into the $1 Million Club, they're given like these crazy larger than life checks. There's a lot of different things that are done to praise the people at the top of MONAT, as is the case with most MLMs. However, recognition is a huge component in these companies, not just to make the individual people feel good. The purpose is much larger than that. In my opinion, the purpose of these types of recognition is more so to make an example out of those people receiving it. Look at these people. Look at all the wonderful things they've done. Look at how much praise they're receiving. Look at these shiny awards and these big checks. Wouldn't you love to be in their shoes one day? I'm thinking about the MONATIONS conference that happened last fall in particular. particular, they had this massive arena booked out, 360 seating around one big stage in the center. And over the course of the conference, they would bring individual people on stage and recognize them and praise them. But I don't think that it was just about praising those people for their efforts. I'm sure that the company wants to give them some kind of recognition because those particular people make the company a ton of money, but there are ways to show your appreciation towards a small group of individuals that do not require you bringing them onto a stage and making a spectacle out of it for tens of thousands of people to see. It is purposeful for these MLM companies to have these public recognition ceremonies. Oh, you're back. Hello. To entice and to motivate and to inspire the thousands of other onlookers, and to give them the idea that they can be praised one day too if they just remain in the company and stick it out. I just wanted to take that opportunity to talk about recognition ceremonies because the people in the top of these companies, I don't think they realize that it's not just about thanking them for their efforts. They're also being used as a pawn for the company to manipulate, to keep morale high and to keep the scheme thriving.
You have to have a good self-image, guys, and you have to keep yourself humble, okay? Humble, humble, humble. It's so important. It's more important than the numbers, more important than any title. I don't want anyone on this call tonight, guys, to define themselves by a title that you are at, by a rank that you are at. You guys are so much more than that. I don't define anybody on my team by a title. Show me who you are. I want to see how you show up. I want to see what kind of attitude you have. How do you treat other people? Okay?
That is hilarious because Joe literally opened the call by being like, "Hi, I'm Joe, SEDMDC." And now this girl is like, "Be humble. Don't introduce yourself by your title." I mean, I agree. I think it is cringy to introduce yourself by a title. But as with tons of other things on these MLM Zoom calls, people are directly contradicting each other the entire time, and it is fascinating.
I want to talk about being burned out, because that's like a buzzword these days. Oh, I'm burned out. I'm burned out. This one's burned out. That one's burned out. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Okay. I know what it means. It means that you're making it about you. That's what being burned out is, guys. It's just thinking so much about yourself and obsessing on yourself. When you start pouring into other people, you will not be burned out. When you're helping somebody else live a better life, you will never be burned out. So you have to think about that, right?
Again, with the pouring into people. I don't agree with what she's saying. You can have the most meaningful, impactful job in the world and you can still get burned out. You can be a teacher teaching children how to read. You can work in the ER saving lives. You can be a therapist dedicating your life's work to helping other people cope with their problems, and you can still get burned out. I mean, look at the world that we are living in right now. Teaching and working in healthcare, those are two very selfless professions. Yet, those are two of the professions that we are seeing a huge turnover rate right now because of burnout. In fact, I think you could make a really strong argument that jobs which require people to give a lot of their energy to other people, those are the types of environments where burnout is the highest. I have no evidence to support that. That may or may not be true, but it does make sense to me that careers that are both emotionally and mentally taxing because you're constantly giving yourself to others and the lines between your professional and personal life are super blurred, I feel like it could be reasonable to assume that those professions cause burnout in greater capacities. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting argument, and it's also interesting to me that she's saying that one of the ways to combat burnout is to pour into other people. In other words, stop focusing on yourself and give yourself away to others, which in my opinion, and the way that I've always felt about things and the way that I feel emotionally recharged, this is in direct contradiction with that. If I'm feeling burnt out, that means I need to take a step back, make more time for myself, have more compassion for myself, give myself more time and space to relax and decompress. I'm very much an introvert, so I realize that could just be like an introvert trait that I have, but I don't agree with this sentiment of like, if you're feeling burnt out, that means that you're being selfish, and that means that you should work harder to give your energy to others.
I'm somebody that likes to work out. Joe likes to work out. A lot of the best leaders like to work out. So when I think about being burned out, it's like, because what people will say to me is, I'm burned out, so I'm going to take a step back from the business right now. I need to get my shit together. I'm going to take a step back from the business. You're somebody that wants to work out. Are you going to get in better shape by taking time off from the gym? No, it's never going to get you closer to the result. It's literally going to take you further and further and further away from the goal that you're trying to get to. So if you guys are trying to rebuild your business, you need to lean into the business, not lean away from the business.
Again, terrible, terrible life advice. Has she ever heard of the saying, when you're feeling burned out, rest, don't quit? When you feel burnout creeping in, one of the best things you can do is take a step back. Take a little break, rest a little bit before you push yourself past the point of no return. And this gym analogy is laughable. Ask any fitness professional ever, and they will all tell you that rest days are just as important as active days. You cannot physically work out every single day for the rest of time and expect to see results. I am not a fitness professional by any means, but I do exercise 4 to 5 days a week, and I have for the past decade, and I've absolutely had a trial and error experience with pushing myself way too far with exercise, and it's taken me a long time to find that balance. When you exercise, microscopic tears form in your muscle tissue. That's what makes you sore. When you do a really hard workout, when you try new exercises, when you use muscles you've never used before, your muscles tear, and rest is essential for those tears to heal, which therefore results in muscle growth and increased strength. So in fact, if your goal is to see some kind of results from exercise, you must have rest days. You must let your muscles repair and strengthen, or else you're going to risk injuring yourself. You're going to push yourself past the point of no return, therefore making it more difficult on yourself to reach your goals. Having an all or nothing mentality is rarely successful for people, and in my opinion, it shows a lack of maturity on her part for her to be suggesting that the best way to avoid burnout is to continue pushing and to continue working. It makes absolutely no sense at all, and that's very, very poor leadership advice.
The more successful that we get in this, I think what happens is we start to get comfortable. We start to get really comfortable. We start to lose that hunger that we had 5-6 years ago. And I look at somebody like Ed Milet. He's somebody that I love, that somebody I want to be like. And, how do you continue working towards like being a billionaire, not getting satisfied on that route along the way? It comes back to purpose. It comes back to other people. Like, that's what's going to get you guys out of bed every single morning. I changed my mindset last year. I had a bad mindset like everybody else. Okay. I was burned out. I was cranky. Everyone on my team is coming to me and complaining day in and day out. And it was just bringing me down. I changed my mindset, guys. January of this year, if you're on my front line on this call, everybody got the same conversation from me. I don't want to hear it anymore. Do not come to me with any negativity for 2022. That's the vibe that I'm on for the rest of this year. I want solutions, not problems. And that's how you guys should treat your uplines. That's how you guys should treat your downlines. I want solutions, not problems. Okay?
So while this idea of solutions, not problems sounds nice, it's actually pretty well known that this is a poor leadership tactic and it does not work well in practice. This is kind of another example of her maybe showing her lack of maturity as a leader. And I want to put a pause on that because I'm not saying that she is immature. I never want to make personal comments or attacks like that. But what I'm saying rather is that it is so common for people in these companies to just kind of be thrown into this leadership position without any leadership skills at all. Because the reason that she's at the top of the pyramid, the reason she's in the top rank, the reason that she's hosting this call right now has nothing to do with leadership skills or experience, and it has everything to do with the fact that she has a big downline. And that's the case with all people at the top of all MLM companies. You don't rise in the ranks of an MLM based on experience or education or effectiveness of your leadership. It's quite literally who recruits the most people. Okay, those people are at the top. Okay, now you're expected to host these calls. And that's really unfortunate because the advice that she's giving is not good. But people on her team are going to look up to that and they're going to take her word for it and they're going to apply that advice because they think that she's in a position of power. And I just want to point out that that's not an issue with the individual people necessarily. It's an issue with the business model and the way that people rank up and the way that the people at the top are viewed by their downlines. So going back, solutions solutions, not problems. That's not an effective practice. A more appropriate and professional way to lead a team would be to create a welcoming environment where people feel like they can come to you with their problems, and you will be there to support them, and you will help them work through a solution. When you say, don't come to me with your problems, you're putting up that wall and you're creating a hostile environment where people don't feel like they can come to you and they don't feel comfortable consulting you about things. In any professional setting, really, it's very easy for one single person to identify a problem or to identify an area of need. But simultaneously, it's also very difficult for just one person to have the solutions to every problem. So by her leading this way, what that's going to turn into is there's going to be people on her team that are identifying an issue, they're identifying a problem that needs to be addressed for the betterment of the team, but they're never going to bring it up. It's never going to get solved because they don't have the solution themselves. By telling people not to come to you with the problems that they have identified, you are effectively weakening your team. Because there very well could be lots of things that need to be fixed or addressed to make the team stronger, but you're never fixing them or addressing them because the people who are identifying them don't have the solutions on their own. They need collaboration. They need you as their leader to help them find a solution. I always think of things in the context of teaching because that's my background. What if I have a student who is really struggling to read? I have personally tried every trick in the book. I'm using every strategy I know of. Nothing is working. I don't know where to go next. How is my student going to get the support they need if the environment at my school is don't come to me with your problems unless you know how to fix them? If I don't have the solution and I'm told that I'm not allowed to ask for help to find a solution, then what? My student is just out of luck? Too bad, so sad, I have this problem and I don't know how to fix it, but no one's willing to help me fix it, so it just never gets addressed? It just doesn't make any logical or professional sense. And this is a perfect instance of where MLM boss babes love to claim that they have all this personal development and they're growing as a human and they're learning all these leadership skills, yet all they do is give terrible, unfounded leadership advice.
I used to say, I'm going to ride this company until the wheels fall off. That's what I used to say all the time. I have a new saying. I'm going to drive this company until the wheels come off. I'm taking ownership for what we're doing on the go forward. Guys, there's no other company out there that compares to what we have right now. There's no compensation plan out there. There's nobody else that's more on trend with where the world is headed than what we have right now. The company is literally planning to go from 1 billion to 2 billion. Okay. There's $1 million of growth that they are projecting. I want the $1 billion in my downline. I want the entire billion. So if I fall short at 80%, then I'll take the 800 million. But I'm shooting for the full billion, and you guys should shoot for it too. A lot of people are sleeping across the company, guys. It's not just on our team. Everyone's sleeping. That's fine. You know what? I see that as an opportunity for growth for us. Everyone else wants to sleep. I'm going to be up early. I'm going to be recruiting. I'm going to be a founder in Europe. I'm going to be a founder in Australia. Guys, we stopped talking about these things. We stopped talking about founder shares. Hello, wake up, everybody. Guys, we sat at SED meeting, SED day, whatever, and they were talking about their US founder shares. And there was a bunch of like the emerging founders in mine and Joe's group that we were in. And we're like, how much money do you guys make in founder shares? We want to know. They make 15,000. Well, obviously it's projected on sales, income disclaimer on the screen right now. They made $15,000 for one share last quarter. All of them have like 3 shares. So that's $45,000 a quarter. That's $180,000 in 1 year for being a founder. So if that doesn't motivate you to get up, to get out, to start growing teams in Europe, growing teams in Australia, growing teams in the US.
Let's talk about founder shares. If you are a member of the founders pool, that means that you hit a certain rank or above within the first 12 months of MONAT's existence. In other words, you got in at the very beginning and you ranked up super fast fast, that makes you a part of the MONAT Founders Pool. And of that pool, you get shares of the company's commissionable revenue each quarter, which is what she's talking about. I do know that MONAT has opened up their Founders Pool in the past. I know in 2019 they did this thing where they're like, we're opening it up again. So if you join now and you rank up to this rank within the next 12 months, then you'll get added into the Founders Pool also. But the thing that I want to point out is that at this moment, that group of people, that Founders Pool, it's off limits. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't able to find a ton of information on this online, so there very well could be something I'm missing. But my understanding is that the Founders Pool is established. That's not something that somebody right now currently could like work towards and become a part of. These are the people that make up the Founders Pool. They are in this little bubble. It's off limits unless we decide to open it up again in the future. All of that to say that I'm not entirely sure why she's bringing it up. I don't know why she thinks that it's motivating to tell you how much somebody in the Founders Pool makes if that group of people is completely off limits to you, if it's not even relevant to you. She's mentioning like building teams in Australia and the UK, so maybe if you get people on your team in those countries as the business opens in those countries, maybe that gives you some kind of founder share opportunity. I don't fully understand the whole situation of what's going on with the Founders Pool and that kind of thing. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of like, if I was on this call and I was in her downline, that would not be motivating to me. If I'm sitting at the bottom of the compensation plan and I'm working my butt off and I'm not ranking up, I'm not making good money, and then my upline decides that it's a good idea to just throw out the little nugget of information that there's people making $180,000 on founder shares alone, that is extremely discouraging. That is not encouraging. And it's another example of her perhaps not displaying the best leadership skills.
It just depends with who, like, it really depends with who you're talking to, okay? So I can talk to one person in my day who's like, business is horrible, I'm losing MMBs, I can't recruit anybody, blah, blah, blah. And then I have another team right now on my front line that went MMB in 30 days, recruited 100 market partners in 60 days, all in the US too. So if you're sitting on this call tonight and you think that the US is saturated and that it's not the same as it was 5 years ago, I hate to break it to you, my friend, but you are completely wrong. Okay. I have a US team that's recruited 100 market partners in 60 days, going to be in 90 days. Like, they are flying through the ranks and they are killing it and they have a good attitude and they inspire me every single day to be a better leader. Okay.
And now it's Cooper's turn to make an appearance. What's interesting here is that she's kind of admitting that people are struggling and that it's getting harder to recruit and the opportunity is not as good today as it once was. And regardless if she herself believes that to be true, there's clearly people on her team that are waking up to the reality that MONAT is kind of an oversaturated business opportunity. And for me, that's pretty satisfying to see.
Something else I want to talk about, because what makes MONAT different, guys, is our culture, right? So, I did my MDC video. Anybody on this call that's been in an MDC video, the man who shoots it, Slade, is like the most amazing person. When he came and shot with me here in New York, we had a really good conversation about the fine line between inspiring somebody and making somebody jealous or envious of you. And this is something that we really have to think about on our social media as we continue to become more and more and more successful. Something I think about with everything that I post. I posted a house that I bought recently. And as I was posting it, I'm like, how can I inspire somebody with this and not have somebody look at me and say, F this girl, okay? I want you guys to think about walking that fine line. I saw a lot of people today, and it made me think about this today, was everyone's posting that Kim K interview about, get off your ass and work and blah, blah, blah. And I loved it. But I saw the backlash against it. And I kind of thought about Slade in that moment where it was like, she didn't inspire people with what she was saying. And she could have, I think that she pissed people off more than she inspired them. So with everything that you guys put out, come back to your core principles. Come back to who you were before you started MONAT. Don't let your ego get ahead of you. Don't let your social media get ahead of you. Stay grounded. You want to be somebody that people look to. Guys, you know what? The best way I can say it to you, when people come to your social media, do they walk away feeling better or worse? Do they walk away feeling better or worse? Do they look at your life and think that they can never be like you? Or do they look at you and think that that's someone that they want to be like? It's two very different things. And the same thing goes for how we talk to our teams. I will never be the leader who's like that mean girl that rules with an iron fist, that's kicking people out of the chats because they don't have enough PV and this, that, and the other thing. That will never be me. That will never be our culture. I want everyone to know that there's a seat for them at our table. And some people are going to go fast and some people are going to go slow, but there's a seat for everybody here, guys. And we need to be that leader. Everybody here needs to be that leader. That needs to be our culture at MONAT. We don't want people to walk away feeling worse than when they came. The real life is hard enough, okay? Especially these days. Life is so crazy. When people come to us, when they're in our chats and they're on our calls, let them walk away better. Don't let them get off your stuff and feel like shit. You want to inspire.
I don't necessarily disagree. I do think there are ways that you can get your message across in a way that creates inspiration rather than anger or jealousy, but there's always a but. Remember that the motive behind an MLM rep posting pretty much anything isn't really to inspire. That's not really the purpose. Rather, the purpose is to entice. It's to say, look at all these great things I have, and you can have them too if you join me. And I think it's ironic that right now she's preaching about how she always makes everyone feel welcome, makes them feel better than when they came. But 5 minutes ago, she's like, don't come to me with your problems. It just feels contradictory and disingenuous.
And it comes the same exact thing when we're talking about recruitment. Everyone wants to talk about recruitment. And, what I say to them is, listen, if someone's going to go into business with you, they have to like you, they have to trust you, they have to respect you. Those are big things. But in some kind of a way, they have to want to be like you. Okay? So it's not just about how you show up on social media. I want you guys to think about how you show up in real life. How are you in your friend group? How are you in your family? What dynamic do you play? Are you the peacemaker? Are you the drama? Are you someone that acts on their emotions and flies off the handle? People are always watching you guys. So I want you to show up as the best version of yourself, someone that inspires other people, someone that someone would want to go into business with, okay? What else? We talked about founder shares. The last thing I really wanted to talk with, I guess that this is a good thing I forgot. I had a call with everybody on my front line in the beginning of the year, okay? I reached out to every single person. I had an intimate conversation with every single person, and I asked them 2 questions. What do you need more of from me? And what do you need less of from me? And I would do the same thing, guys, with every single person on your team, because we're not mind readers, and we all try to be the best leaders that we can be. And it's wild because the answers I got from every single person were completely different. Literally night and day. Some people want me to step away from their team more. Some people want me to go into their team more. Some people want me to have more calls. Some people want me to have less calls. Some people need recognition. It's all different answers, So just learning how to govern all these different teams. What do you need more of from me? What do you need less of from me? I want you guys to really tonight think about collaborating. When I look at the leaders, guys, on this call, this is the best of the best.
Hold on. Collaborating. Again, it's in direct contradiction with what she said earlier about don't come to me with any problems. Figure it out on your own. I am all for collaborating. I think wonderful things can come from people working together to solve problems. But it's just really confusing because she's on one hand, figure it out on your own, and on another hand, work together. Maybe she just doesn't want to be a part of the solution. Maybe she wants other people to work together to figure it out and only involve her once all the hard work is done. I really don't know what's going on here, but I don't have a good gut feeling about it.
When I look at the leaders, guys, on this call, this is the best of the best in our entire industry, not just in our company, in our industry. We're literally surrounded by greatness, and everybody has something different to offer. Okay. I don't check every single box. Nobody does. But when we come together, right, we have it all. So I want you guys to collaborate more. I want people to look at our team in 2022. Let the company say 2022 sucked, and we're going to walk around saying 2022 was the best year that we ever had. It's going to be the year that we blow everybody out of the water. We're going to be the comeback kids. We're going to drive this bus until the wheels fall off. I am trying to get a paycheck from MONAT for the rest of my life. Okay. I don't know how else to put it to you guys. I'm literally trying to get a check from this company until the day that I die. That's why we're here. That's why we're building this. That's why we've been doing this for the last 5 years. We did not come this far to only come this far.
Ew, I really hate how she just said, I want to get a paycheck from MONAT for the rest of my life. And that's why we are here. That's why we have been building for 5 years. Essentially admitting, I need all of you so that I can be at the top making the most. She knows that she would not be where she's at if she didn't have her team. If her entire team were to quit today, she would have nothing. She would land herself at the bottom rank of the company, making a median annual income of $0. It's a little tiny slip up that you might miss, but she went from saying, I want this, that's why we need to do this. There's also a rare instance occurring here where you see language around, let's be the best team in this company, essentially creating an us versus them mentality between people in the same MLM. She's using terms like, we're gonna blow everyone out of the water, we're gonna be the comeback kids, everyone else is gonna have a crappy year and we're gonna have a great year. Kind of like she wants to be known for leading the best team in the company, which again directly contradicts what she said earlier about not being in it for recognition.
And anybody that's gone through a rough time, let me tell you, it's going to serve you. It's going to come full circle for you. There's going to be people on your team in 5 years from now who are going to go through another rough time, and you're going to be able to look to them and say, guess what? We've been through this before, and we came out stronger. So that's the whole point of this, guys. 3 years ago, or whenever all the lawsuits happened, it was a tough time, you know, and we were like scared shit. I just quit my job. I'm like, oh my God, are we going to make it out of this? We came out stronger. The sales went exponentially higher than they ever had before. So this bad time is going to create tough leaders. Bad times create badass leaders. Okay.
Yeah, the company saw an increase in their revenue in the years following the lawsuits because of a pandemic. And guess what? They're on their way back down now. You can't just expect that every few years a pandemic is going to roll around and give your company the boost of recruits it needs. And to be completely honest, I find it almost like jarring that people talk about the fact that they're going to be in their MLM in 5 years, because in my mind, I never see how that could ever be possible. So it's kind of like shocking when they're like, in 5 years, we're going to look back. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You think this is going to last another 5 years? It seems impossible to me, not with how saturated the company is, not with the rise of the anti-MLM movement, not with the lawsuits, not with all of these desperate behaviors that the company is displaying with like launching in new countries and launching products that have nothing to do with hair care, running flash sales every weekend and practically giving away their product for free. There's just absolutely no way that this is sustainable, and I feel like it's foolish of people to believe that MONAT is going to be a viable opportunity for them 5 years down the road.
We have like 7 minutes. If anybody wants to ask a question, Joe, if you want to add anything or want me to talk about anything.
Yes, no, I literally have chills. My head hurts from going like this. Because girls, I heard a version of this in her house, and then I heard a version of this in a call she did, and then I'm hearing it again, and I still get new information. And I think a couple of things that I just want you guys to really focus on is when you said there's always someone winning. And, you know, like I said, we have brand new girls here. We have old leaders, 4 or 5 years old. 5, I think, is the max because you would be the oldest one. And there really is always someone winning. And that's why we have to be so careful who we talk to and who we surround ourselves with. Because so many times they were tired, negative. And then we have the new girls or our level 2s and 3s that are winning, running, getting the market partners, getting the VIPs. And that's what I'm doing this time around differently. I don't care who it is. I want to be with the people that have energy, because I always say it's a two-way stream, this relationship. It's, I give, you give. I get my motivation, my inspiration, my energy from my team, from those people that are hustling. Okay, so keep that in mind. If the people you're talking to, surrounding yourself with, whether it's your upline, your downline, your sideline, or your level ones, if they are not serving you and they're not making you better and they're not making you get out of that funk you're in, maybe they are not the people you should be with. Okay, they will shape your perspective. They will make it seem like everything is going to shit when someone else is living their best life. Like Britt said, 2018, she had her best year. The company had their worst year. That's when I came in the company and I lived my best life, It's perspective. It's like, where do you stand?
It's true that there will be people that win and there will be people that lose, but the winners are not defined by like positive mindset or perspective. They're defined by recruitment volume. You can surround yourself with the kindest, sweetest, most positive, most well-intentioned people, but unless your team has a high recruitment volume, you're not going to be one of the winning ones.
Also, when you were talking about assumptions and assumptions, but I want to add assumptions and expectations with your team and your upline. That's the worst thing we can do. And I said it in a call I was in earlier. I said it in the Spanish chat I was in earlier. I assume that because they're they don't need me, and I don't like speaking Spanish, and I dropped the ball on my Spanish team, and it's not true. I had SEDs from my Spanish team telling me, Joe, we need you. So lesson for me time and time again that I always say it and I'm still learning it is don't assume. Don't assume you know it all. Don't assume your team is okay. But also don't expect, because when we expect things, that's when we get disappointed. And you don't want to be disappointed when you're doing this kind of business time and time again. And then when you said collab, I want you girls to know that this call came together from a collab, from a bunch of sidelines, different people. You have Bianca, you have Sam, you have Pixie, you have Nicole, AJ. Like, we were all in a chat and we were like, let's get Britt on a call. Like, we're all collabing together. A bunch of SCDs are working together. None of us benefit from each other. Okay, maybe me from Bianca a little bit. But other than that, no, maybe, I don't know. But the point is, we're collabing, we're working together, we're holding ourselves accountable. So find that group for you. And for our new girls, I want you to know that you being on this call was a privilege and a step forward, because you're getting kind of like a look into what may happen to you. Right now, you're super excited and you're probably like, I can't relate, because that was me when we started. I can speak for my whole team. When we started and we saw people going backwards or people being upset, we're like, what is wrong with them? Like, this is the best thing ever. We were so high on MONAT. I wish someone would have told us, girls, it's not always going to be a high. You are going to struggle. It's going to make you work. So if you're new and you're on here, we definitely don't want to kill your high, but we want you to view this as a blessing. Like, it's going to be like this, but this is a great prep for you. And if you build a strong foundation, which we have in this downline, in this team, Britt has done a great job. We've built a strong foundation. It's just going to get better and you're just going to grow from it. And it's only going to go up. So, I mean, Britt, I think you covered everything head on. Like I said, I shared in the little SED chat. Britt did it for me. I hope she could do it for some of you, whether you are feeling stuck or you're obsessed with the business right now. It's just a perspective of how we can be better, how we can do better. And maybe you're the one that's on a high right now and so many people are on a low. This is our chance to take over. And if you're the one that's on a low, this is your chance to say, there's so many people on a high. It's my chance to step it up. Okay, I had a realization. Britt, I don't know if you remember when you told me, and my boyfriend Eric was also there. They literally both stared me in the face and they're like, do you realize what you're saying? Do you realize what you have? Like, Eric tells me all the time, he's like, Joe, forget the money you make, like the way you're making this money. Working from wherever you want, being with your son, the freedom, the this. And it took a couple of hard conversations for me to be like, this is literally the best of the best ever. And it's okay if you've ever doubted. Like, Britt, you said you went through it a little bit too.
100% I went through it. 100%, and I had to pull myself up, guys, and really realize how blessed we are. I just want to address something really quick because I meant to say this and I just saw somebody write it in the thing. What do you do about people that you feel like you have to drag? Right? That word drag. Guys, I've been there and I told this story last week to I think Sam's team, but I lost a bunch of MMBs last year, like 4. And like for the second half of the year, I was like, I'm a great leader. I am so good at the business. I am going to get these people back to MMB. I'm going to do it no matter what. And I had this whole plan for them and I'm calling them and I'm texting them and I'm telling them to get me on calls and blah, blah, blah. And I'm dumping so much energy into these lines. And I'm getting on phone calls with them and I'm listening over and over to the same excuses and the same story. And they're not taking my advice and they're not making the changes. And the truth is, it never moved. Okay. I never got them to the goal. And month after month, I found myself upset and sad and burned out and all of the things that I couldn't get these people to their goals. Okay. And then I had a mindset shift there too. And I said, you know what? I need to focus on building my own personal business. Instead of these 4 MMBs, I'm going to go out and I'm going to recruit 20 new people and I'm going to get 4 new MMBs out of that. And that's exactly what I did. And the second that I did that, my business turned around. Okay.
I want to make it clear how alarming what she's saying is. She's admitting that there were people in her downline that fell off the wagon and her business suffered because of it. She also admitted to giving so much of her energy into getting these people back on track, only to come to the harsh realization that you cannot make people work for something they don't want. And finally, she admitted that her solution to 4 people falling off her team was to go recruit 20 new people, showing us that recruitment is key. And here's my question. How can anybody in their right mind listen to this and think that this is sustainable? Because personally, the idea of having my paycheck and my rank be dependent on other people's efforts and other people's level of motivation is sickening to me. In no universe would I ever want to put myself in a position where I don't get paid if other people don't hit their goals. Absolutely not. The constant state of anxiety that I would be in if I was in an MLM would undoubtedly shave years off my life expectancy. No, thank you.
I told everybody on my front line beginning of January, do not call me and complain about the same 3 people on your front line who don't work anymore. I don't want to talk about it. It's new vibes and it's new energy for 2022. You have people that you're dragging, and this is much different than what I talked about earlier on the call about, treating everybody the same. Guys, you have to put your energy where you're seeing the results. That's a business, okay? We are all friends and we all get along, but at the end of the day, we're running a business. You have to put your energy where you see the results. No more dragging, no more focusing for the rest of the year on the people who don't work. When they are ready, when they want to put in the work, you will know it. They will be blowing up your phone. They will be calling you. They will be texting you. They will be getting you on potential calls. We match the energy that we receive. Everybody gets the same version of me. They get my calls. They get my trainings. They're in the chat. But not everyone is going to get the same leadership from me if they're not putting in the work. Okay.
Again, contradictions, because earlier in the call, she was like, everybody's welcome. I don't cut people out. I make people feel good. But now she's like, I only put my energy into people that make me money. It's so gross, but that's the reality of it.
I love that. I love that so much. Girls, we always say that. I need you to match my energy. I need you to help me get you to that next level. And really quick to end this call, Britt, maybe you've seen it, maybe it's new. I don't know. The last time I was in this office was with Bianca months ago, but I just looked up and guys, look at this paper they have here. Okay. It literally says, don't get lost in the struggle. Don't run from the struggle. Embrace it and understand it's the only way to your end goal. View every day as a down payment to your future. Let's fucking go. Like, what? Has that always been there? Has that always been there or is that new?
I've never seen that.
Okay, well, that was a sign then. So, Britt, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. Girls, remember, all the calls are great. It's what you do with them, what you implement. And honestly, if this just touched one person the way it touched me when I spoke to you at your house, like our day is made.
I hope
So,
so.
like the paper said, let's fucking go. Let's wake up. Let's realize what we have in front of us. And let's drive this bus until the wheels fall off.
Oh my gosh, I'm just always like so exhausted after these calls. My brain is scrambled eggs. And here's a genuine question, honestly. If you have ever been in an MLM, specifically MONAT, because their Zoom calls make my head spin the most. Do you feel like that? Do you ever get off a call and you're just like drained? Like you just have no energy left? You have no brain power left? People tell me a lot. They're like, I don't know how you sit through all those calls. Like, I don't know how you watch them and comment on them. Like, they're so mind numbing. And like, I agree. But my statement back is, I don't know how people in MLMs do it. I listen to a fraction of a percentage of all of the Zoom calls that happen every week. And it'll never cease to amaze me that this is kind of like a big part of being in an MLM is the team calls, is sitting in front of your computer or listening on your phone to people in your upline, just blah, 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 all of this like self-help motivational stuff. I can't do it. I mean, I enjoy doing it. I like to break it down. I like to comment on it, but I don't understand how people in MLMs put themselves through this multiple times a week. And I said it at the beginning of the video, but I'll say it again. I'm always open to watching Zoom calls from all MLM companies. I just get MONAT the most sent to me, but if you have access to Zoom calls from other companies that you would like for me to react to, please send them my way. I think showing these kinds of calls and discussing them is very informative, and I also think it's potentially the best way to pull back the curtain and to show people what it's like inside these companies and inside these teams, and I think that's a very effective tool that we can use to prevent people from joining. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in my next one real soon.